Currently, I have a Warhammer painting hyperfixation, and that is the Makeup Beauty Blender Egg. I've been using this guy for everything recently, like highlights, blending colours, smooth transitions. So today, I thought we could take this to the extreme and see what this can do on a Dreadnought. Look at this boy. So I've got this massive Dreadnought that I've primed in silver and based in Thunderhawk Blue, because this guy is going to be a Space Wolf. I was going to try and like do some blending with a Black Templar Dreadnought, because it's obviously my faction, but I was thinking like, I can't really like layer up colours on black. It'd be like greys or blues and it might look a bit weird. So for the sake of this experiment and to try and get the most out of the egg and the blending of colours, I thought we could do a Space Wolf. Oh, and here he is, Barry the Ballistus Dreadnought. So yeah, I've just undercoated him in Colourforge's Steelforge Silver. It's just like lead belcher basically, because like half this model is going to be silver anyway. It's like all of this section down here on the legs, some of these like inner workings, this is all going to be silver. So now all I need to do is chuck Basilicanum Grey over the silver parts to darken them down, and then that's, yeah, like half the model done. So that's why we've primed it in silver. And as for this colour that's on it, we've just put some Thunderhawk Blue on all of the armour panels, just as like a base coat. These are all the sections we're going to highlight up with, starting off Russ Grey. So yeah, that's why we've done the Thunderhawk Blue. That way, when we start applying the highlights, the areas we can't get into, like down here, might be a bit awkward, because the brush is too big. And rather than get a small brush, what I like the idea of doing, like I say, I like doing it, it's the idea of it. I've not actually done this before, so we'll be learning together. But I like the idea of those areas we can't reach, like in here, staying the darker blue to almost emulate shadows. So what hopefully happen is these knees will be like the brightest blue. This might be a little bit less, and as we can't like get in, that might stay Thunderhawk and like a nice transition. That's my theory anyway. That's what we could do, I guess, actually, is pick up this sponge and make a start to see if my theory is correct. So I've got some Russ Grey, although I guess the first step is to get our water and just dunk this boy in. There you go, just soak up some nice. There you go, get it nice and wet. Drain all the excess water off. Squeeze that egg. Sweet, so now our egg is nice and wet. We can just damp off some of the excess. Then we can get cracking. So yeah, what I want to do with this first layer, we're going to start off with Russ Grey, but then eventually what we're going to do is work up to like Fenrisian and Blue Horror. But we'll start with Russ, and what we're going to do is just apply this pretty much everywhere that we can reach, because this is actually the base colour we want. Yeah, so we can just grab some of this on the sponge, dab off some of the excess. Although not too much excess, to be fair. I want to keep quite a bit on, because this is going to be like the base colour. Once we move on to the Fenrisian Greys and stuff later, that's when we're going to start proper like wiping off loads of it. But yeah, I think we'll just try and apply this all over. There we go. To be fair, like we mentioned, so this first colour is going to be, actually this is a perfect example. We want to cover this pretty much everywhere and just leave some of the recesses where the sponge doesn't reach. Like this front section will be perfect. Because now this way, yeah, some of those recesses are left with that Thunderhawk Blue darkness, and then everything else will be a nice bright Russ Grey. Then later on, when we come to apply like the Fenrisian and the Blue Horror, we can apply lighter touches with more wiped off. Then that way we're only hitting the highlighted areas. So let's just go around with this and just start applying like a nice smooth base coat of Russ Grey. Okay, so that's phase number 1 done. So I guess there's some good and bad already. Is the good aspect is, yeah, I actually think my point stands quite well. There's like a little gap in there, that curvature where like I can't reach in with the makeup brush, and I guess up here. But it's made like quite a nice little transition into the dark, where it's like the Thunderhawk Blue is kind of sat and you can't get to it. Similarly on these divots here on the back, like that little gap in the middle is filled with Thunderhawk. And yeah, just sort of like sections where armor panels meet down there on the front. There's those little bits in the corner, those recesses. That's what I'm looking for. all the recesses are still dark. However, I was like, oh, I primed him silver so I wouldn't have to like paint all the silver and I can just Basilicanum Grey. But obviously where I'm just sponging around, all of this silver's getting covered. Well, not all of it, but some sections. But that's okay, I can just grab some lead belcher and just tidy it up. Yeah, look at that, right there. I primed him in silver so I'd have to less work, but turns out there might still be some work. But that was the easy, quick part. That was just a once-over layer of Russ Grey, just all over everywhere, kind of get some coverage. Now we kind of need to be a little bit more delicate. And we've got the first highlight colour, which is Fenrisian Grey. So what we're going to do with this is the same. Take our wet sponge, dab it in, wipe off the excess, etc. But I'm not going to have... Well, I'm going to wipe off more than previously. I'm going to actually try and wipe off a lot of the excess. So yeah, really like wipe off loads of it, not even leave much on. So when we were doing that first layer, we were literally like this, like proper just, yeah, going all in. Whereas now, actually, probably just wiped off some of the Fenrisian Grey. Whereas now we just want to kind of catch some of these raised edges and the corners to highlight them. So instead of doing that full on like spush, we're probably just going to do a little like a light dab in, just like a little bit. So less pressure, a little bit less paint, a little bit less pressure is what I'm trying to get at. Just waffling on. We'll start on the back legs to see. So the sections that we face in the light, oh, that's quite a bit, but it's not too bad. Maybe we'll dab off some more. I don't mind getting these a little bit bright because, yeah, it's the... Yeah, so I think I put a little bit too much on the sponge there, but to be fair, we just wipe a little bit more off and try and get down there. Yeah, there we go. So we can just kind of dab, and then again, because we can't really reach inside of there, it's kind of hard to get it in light. We can just leave it because that's obviously where the light would be hitting. So let's just kind of dab around this knee a little bit more. Alright, so far this is an interesting vibe. I don't know if it's matching my vision, but we've still got one more colour to go, and then obviously everything else on the model, like the details. So we've still got a long way to go, but it's got some interesting vibes going on at the minute. So I guess next up we can just do the final colour for the armour highlights, and that is Blue Horror. Yeah, it's a Blue Horror. I've already popped it open a little bit. Actually, what I should do while we're here is get rid of that dry clump. Oh my god, that is offensive. That's one thing I really need to get better at, is just staying on top of my paint pots and keeping them clean. But it's a problem for another day. So yeah, same thing. Also, one thing to mention, I'm not actually cleaning the end of this really. I'm letting the colours kind of sit in it and like blend into each other. So there's a little bit of the Fenrisian and the Russ Grey in there already. So it kind of all blends into this one colour. But like I mentioned, this is just the final little highlights, mostly on the top sections and right at the front that's poking out. So I guess I'll grab it like this little bit at the front. So for this, we're just going to put like a little bit on. Well, we're going to put the same amount on, but kind of just wipe off a lot of it. So yeah, there we go. Look at that. So yeah, just wipe off as much as possible. And then yeah, similarly, I guess in terms of pressure, if we grab that cork again, I'm just going to literally just a little touch, like tiniest amount, just to try and get some spot highlights. And what I'm going to do as well, because I'm going to do this next. I can actually take this arm off. Because yeah, I'm going to do this shoulder next, but for now the task at hand is, can we get some nice little highlights? Oh yeah, that's a nice little soft Blue Horror, look at that. At the front, it's a nice little poking out bit. So I guess I'm going to go around these areas and just try and get some final little bits of highlighting done. Alright, and here he is, the full base armour, all done with our, I guess, 4 colours. The base of Thunderhawk, and then Rust, Fenrisian, and Blue Horror layering it up. It looks nice, it's cool, you know. I like, yeah, the layers, I like the front bit down here. I do really like the recesses are a lot darker, so like, maybe if you tilt it a little bit, there's some like, yeah, Thunderhawk recesses in there, some nice volume to it. I do really want to see how it looks with all the details on it, which is what we're going to do for the rest of this video. We're not going to just end it here. But yeah, so far it's quite interesting. It's cool. I like it. I think maybe there could have been a bit more on top, like maybe like padding up here and stuff, but I kind of wanted to keep it, I say tame and under control. This is a bit wild. It's a bit all over the place, but time will tell to see how it's going to look in the final product. But that's not everything for the sponging. We're still going to crack the sponge out. It's still here on the table, although I did kind of clean it off a little bit because we're done with the blues, so I don't really need to let them build up anymore, because next up we're going to do the same on this shoulder pad and do this boy red, just because if I grab a Space Wolf, maybe a good looking one. Yeah, they've got like a red shoulder pad. I was thinking about doing this other one yellow as well, red and yellow, but I quite like the whole experiment and the vibe of this video was to try and layer up all of these blues. So I didn't want to do like red on one shoulder, yellow on the other, and all sorts. I kind of wanted to maximize the blue surface tension to see how this would turn out, especially because there's so many like lines and bumps and whatnot to highlight. So that's why we kept that shoulder yellow, that shoulder blue, but this one will be red. So we're going to do exactly the same. We're going to chuck a layer of, I think, Khorne as the base all over, and then we'll layer up some Mephiston and Evil Sunz. So I guess we can start off with the Khorne and the Mephiston first, and then see how we're looking. Alright, and there's the red. That's looking nice, you know. Although I will say I kind of messed it up a little bit on one section, but I am quite happy about that in a weird way, because now we can learn from it. I think maybe there was too much moisture on the sponge, or maybe I was going over the same layer, because you can kind of see... It's hard. Let's turn the lights down. There's like a bit of a smudge in that middle section. Maybe actually it's not too bad. Maybe I've covered it up a little bit. You can kind of see it there in that middle bit, just along there. Bit of a smudge. I think it's like a moisture thing. But other than that, it's looking really good. I'm really happy with that, you know. Actually, turn the lights down again. Sometimes it's a bit hard. Yeah, look at that. It's nice, like, highlights along the ridge. Some nice depth. I still need to fill in around these details, but I'll just use Khorne Red, because obviously it's like the recess, the darker. But yeah, I'm quite happy with that, you know. It's looking really good. So far, let me chuck the arm back on, actually. One sec. And then zoom out, I guess, for a bigger picture. Oh, yeah. That's looking nice so far, considering we've done pretty much all of this with just a little makeup sponge. Yeah. Oh, okay, this is a big success so far. I guess the next step for the sponge, it might be the last one. Just looking around, I don't think there is anything else we can sponge on, because all this silver is going to be Basilicanum Grey. I don't know. But the last thing I do want to do that's going to involve the sponge is this weapon casing. So like we mentioned earlier, they have red on one shoulder and yellow on another. So what I want to do is for this other shoulder, rather than painting this whole shoulder pad yellow, for the reasons we've mentioned, I do want to paint the casing of the missiles, this thing. So I guess you get, there you go, that separation. This bit can just be yellow. So there's just a nice tint of yellow on it. I was thinking about maybe doing the shin guard as well, like one of these as yellow. Maybe this one. I'm not sure. Again, the whole point of this video and this project was to see if we can like make a good looking model with this sponge. So I thought the more of this blue we can use, the better, because then it gives us more exposure to the 4 colours. Whereas with the yellow, I don't think we'd get that same effect, because it'd just be maybe Zandri Dust, Sunset, and then Flesh Gitz. Yeah, because these are the colours I think I'm going to use on the rocket casing. We'll do a base of Zandri Dust, because it's like the, I know it's not really yellow, but it's kind of close to Averland, and we're going to go over it anyway. We'll see how we get on. We'll see if this is just enough yellow to satisfy the colour variety, or if we do want to put a little bit more on that knee down there, because it would look like a nice pairing. But let's slap on. I guess I'll use a brush for the Zandri Dust, just because I don't want to sponge on like around here and like taint this bit we've got going on. So we'll brush on the Zandri Dust base layer actually, and then we'll sponge on some highlight colours and see, yeah, how it's looking. Right, there's all of the armor panels done, and the shoulder pad and like the trim of the rockets, and yeah, this looks really good, you know. I'm really impressed, like, considering how minimal effort it was. I don't have an exact timer for how long this took, but honestly, less than an hour, I reckon. Well, I will say the initial base coat of Thunderhawk Blue took a while, but the sort of just the sponging of the highlights and the Russ Grey and the Fenrisian and the red and the yellow, yeah, it's actually not too bad. Couldn't have taken more than an hour. I think it looks good for our first attempt as well, because I've not really done anything on this scale. Like, I've used the sponge for leather and some capes and stuff, but they're like smaller little things. So on like a big scale, I'm really, really happy with how it looks. One thing I have learned though, that is really good, and why I always say you should just try new things. If you see like random weird stuff on like Instagram, TikTok, or your mate says to do this strange thing, just give it a go and try it, because you don't know what you're going to find out. Because one thing I really struggle with is painting rockets like sticking out of the little like guns. I don't know if it's going to come up. Yeah, see these little rockets? I find them so hard to paint sometimes with a brush. Turns out they're really easy with a makeup sponge. Like, yeah, because I used the yellow around the trim, these rockets have just taken to it really nicely. Like look at that. Like, yeah, just a nice clean application. Just a shame that I don't want them yellow. I want them red. So I might see if I can like do something. I was thinking of like, I've got another one of these sponges somewhere. Maybe like cutting it down to be a bit smaller and then just dabbing just red on the rockets. We'll see. I'm a little bit nervous about going over some of the highlights we've already applied. One thing I will say is I looked at some pictures online, and some of these back bits, like that sort of bit down here and on the top, they're supposed to be the same as the panels, like the Great Russ, Fenrisian, Thunderhawk sort of colours. So what I might do is, just off camera, just do the same thing we've done on all the panels on that. Because there is also one other thing I need to do off camera, and that is tidy up some of this silver. So yeah, just on some of the overflow sections where it's like the sponging has sort of bled out onto the mechanical silver parts that I don't want to be red or blue. So I just need to tidy some of those up, because next up what I'm going to do after tidying everything off camera is I want to apply the Basilicanum Grey onto the parts of the metal that we want black or dark. I don't want them black, but like a nice dark gunmetal would be cool. That's what I'm going to do quickly. Going to turn this camera off, going to tidy up some of the silver and just apply some Thunderhawk, Russ, Fenrisian, Blue Horror to like these under sections on the back. It's all stuff I've done before, or boring things you don't want to see, but just for continuity, that's what I'm doing. And then the next thing you'll see, we'll slap on some Basilicanum Grey on all of the silver bits. Oh, not all of it, most of the silver bits. I think we're going to leave like the gun silver and then the missile silo silver. Maybe some pipes, I don't know. Right, where are we? So we've just done the Basilicanum Grey on some of the metallics, just to darken it down a little bit. Just because with the light grey armour, I kind of want that sort of a darker, heavy metallic look for all the silver. I say all the silver, it's not all of it. I've left some of the functional silver, like the exhausts, these pipes, some of the guns, like silver, because they're probably going to be that colour anyway. But I just thought I'd darken down some of the frame. It's a little bit patchy on some sections, and if I'm honest, some stuff like this area and this area, I went over twice because the Basilicanum wasn't dark enough. But I do like this vibe, this kind of overall, like, yeah, the dark background against the bright body. Looking good. One thing I will say that's not looking too good, though, is I'm not a massive fan of the black on the gun, just here. Like, yeah, I'm not a massive fan of that, but the focus of this video and this model is the armour and the highlights, not necessarily like the little details like this. So I might just either leave it like that or fix it up later, who knows. I will say I'm a big fan of taking these arms off for sub-assembly and just popping them back on. This is really good. But no, really happy with how this is looking at so far. We're just doing some of the details, as you've just seen. So we've done the chest aquila, which I am so chuffed with. It looks really nice. Some crisp highlights, some depth. Same as the parchment. I've just stuck with the same sort of colours I used for the Black Templar tabards. Like I said, kind of like a big, thick, heavy parchment cloth look. Yeah, looking good. I'm a big fan of this. It's coming out really nice so far. So where do we go next? I think what I want to do is just stick with this torso because there isn't much left on it, to be fair. Need to chuck some silver on the bolts that we'll do at some point, and then fill in this sort of middle section here. So it's just going to be like a bronze sarcophagus. Maybe like some of these lights will be like red, and some of the pipes might be like bronze. Actually, no, because the sarcophagus will be bronze. Maybe they'll be like red, yellow, black. I don't know. We'll find out. I did briefly mention it at the start of the video, but originally I did want to paint this dude as a Black Templar because that's like the army I main, and these are like 150, 200 points? I don't know off the top of my head. And that'd be like a big chunk towards 2k. So I was like, oh yeah, we'll just do this as a Black Templar and add it to my army. But then I was like, I can't really do what I want to do. I can't show off the highlights because it's hard to highlight black. Like, sure, I could use my normal colours like Dark Reaper, Fenrisian, or like maybe even some greys like Mechanicus and Eshin. But I was like, it won't look as good as this has. And I am really glad I've done it as a Space Wolf because the effect I've wanted to get has come across really well with these like Russ Greys and such. So I was like, we'll just do it as a Space Wolf. But then I was thinking, actually, just now, as I'm doing this like sarcophagus, there isn't really any, other than obviously the big grey panels, there's nothing that really makes this a Space Wolf. Like no heraldry, no like specific equipment. Like I was thinking, I was like, maybe in the future, because I was like, in the future, I'm definitely going to just strip this and make it into a Black Templar for my army. And I was like, I can make that a video, like, how awkward is it to strip a Dreadnought, or how hard is it to repaint an entire Dreadnought, something like that. So I was like, yeah, I'll just strip it in the future. But now I'm like, actually, how much effort would it be just to slap black over some of these panels? Like, if I just put some Black Templar contrast over it, like, how awful would that look? Now I kind of want to just, yeah, like, I really want to take one of these panels, like one at the back that's already got like these nice volumetric highlights. Like, if I slap some Black Templar over that, will some of those like volumetric highlights like seep through a little bit, almost like a slap choppy method? And I'm like, I kind of want to do that now, but like, no, we'll stay the course. We'll finish painting this guy up, and then we'll maybe at the end we'll try it. Because yeah, I'm looking at it and I'm like, if I just put Black Templar over all of the armor panels, the only thing I'd have to like strip is probably this. It's probably this shoulder pad because it's red. It'd be white. Yeah, like everything else would just be like, yeah, just put black over it. Because everything else is just like purity seals, eagles. The whole sarcophagus section can stay the same. That's just default bronze. So yeah, maybe. Right, we're almost done. There's just one or two tiny things left to do. One of them is the base. I've just chucked some blue and white paint on to make it look like ice. Just so that when we put this Valhallan Blizzard on the top of it, it kind of looks like a snowy, icy Space Wolf base. Nothing complex, just something to make it look like a finished model, you know. So I'll chuck this Valhallan Blizzard on first because it takes like 4 days to dry. But other than that, actual painting-wise, there's just two things left to do. And I've left these till the end because I thought it would be very thematic that we started the video with the egg and did the bulk of it all with the makeup egg, and we can end the video with the egg as well. So I need to finish off these rockets. These tips need to be red rather than yellow, just because I would rather than red so they look cool. So we're going to do the egg technique with that as well. So just dab just very lightly on the front so we don't get red on the casing, just on the rockets. So hopefully that comes out okay. And then one thing I do want to do is I want this cable here, this thick one that's got like lines in it. I want to paint this Balthasar Gold, and then what I want to do is use the egg to put some Runelord Brass as a highlight over the top. And then because it's raised, I'm hoping the egg will make those raised sections Runelord Brass, and then the divots will be Balthasar. So just some more like cool little highlights that we get to use the egg on. So let's quickly do these last two eggy bits, the cable and the missiles. I guess also the Valhallan Blizzard I'll slap on, and I guess actually while we're at it, we can. I was going to dry brush some Dawnstone on these rocks for like highlights, but actually this is the egg video, so let's grab some Dawnstone now and egg on some of these highlights on the rocks. And here we have it, our Space Wolves Ballistus Dreadnought painted pretty much entirely with a makeup sponge. I mean, look at the state of that. But what's not a state is this this Dreadnought, man. It looks incredible. I can't go over how good it looks, considering we just, like, got a makeup brush and sponged on a bunch of highlights. Like, some of these transitions look really nice. I'm really, really happy with how it's come out overall, you know? Yeah, I'm well impressed, especially considering how little time and effort it took to get a result that looks, I think, like, pretty decent. Like, if you put that down on the tabletop, I'd be well happy with it. I think I don't really time my painting, but I don't think it's taken me longer than like 2 or 3 days of just like a bit of work. I think the most amount of work was putting on that Thunderhawk Blue base layer underneath, to be honest, and then the sponging of the highlights was, yeah, easy. Man, I'm really impressed with how this looks. Like, it's not obviously the best thing in the world. You could probably get much nicer transitions with like an airbrush, or you spent loads of time blending and highlighting. But I think for the amount of effort you put in, this egg has done the world of good, you know. I think, yeah, it's really, really impressive. If you want like a decent looking dreadnought or vehicle with some alright looking highlights, if I don't say so myself, then yeah, just sponge them all on. I will say, I mentioned that I'm probably going to strip this and turn it into a black Templar at some point, and because of that, I've not really put any transfers on. I would probably put like a big transfer here, maybe like some on the sections like the knees and whatnot. So he does look a little bit bare, but that's because I am going to strip him. Like, I probably shouldn't have put the snow on the base, but to be honest, I'll probably want to turn him into a Templar, just put some mud over the top of it, so that's not too bad. So he's a little bit bare iconography-wise, but I'm really happy with the colours because that was the focus of the video. Like, how good can we get sort of a base coat highlight dreadnought look with just a makeup sponge and a dream? And yeah, wow, this is a dream come true. I'm really happy. I like how dark the metallics are as well, just to move away from the highlights. Like, yeah, on the back of the legs. Can we tilt him? Is that safe? Yeah, look at that. I'm really happy with how the nice dark metallics look. I really like that sort of bronze power cable down there. My only issue, I guess this is a Space Wolf thing, is those red purity seals kind of blend into the red shoulder a little bit. But that's okay. Like, maybe they could have been accentuated with some like transfers or iconography or something on the shoulder to make it pop. But in terms of just the experiment and the focus of this video, can we get some good highlights and a decent like look of a dreadnought with an egg? Yeah, I think it's a big success. I think this looks really nice. I really, really like, if we zoom in, there's some like recesses, like in the joints just along here, like the recesses just down there. They look really nice. Some little dark bits. And then, like I mentioned at the start, those areas like in here where we couldn't get to with the sponge, and kind of a little bit there, and a little bit in this section around here, because obviously you're trying to like sponge in, it doesn't reach really all of it. Yeah, there's some nice dark recesses in there, and it makes like a cool transition. There's a couple sections like just here where they're a little bit too bright and stark, and then maybe on the top of it, if I could have like, I guess if we take him off his platform. Yeah, but perhaps I could have got some more like highlights on the top of him. I guess if we turn the lights down a little bit. Yeah, turn the light down a bit so you get a little bit of a better representation. Maybe it's on the top here, he could have done some more. I do think maybe pairing this technique with edge highlighting alongside could do some really good results. Like if you layer down those transitions and then also accentuate them with some highlights or some recess shading in like the, like some divots here. So maybe we chucked some like wash in there to darken it down, or just in here. You could, but like I've been mentioning, I think just off of the back of like using a sponge just to apply some like highlights and base layers, I think we've done like really well, you know, like it turned out great. Like this is absolutely fine, dandy and good enough just to drop on a table and be like, yeah, this looks good. I'm really happy. So you know what, overall, I would call this video a big success. Oh, one minor thing before I move on to the next bit, because I've got something extra I want to put into these videos. How nice does that parchment look? Oh, I'm really, really happy with how this parchment, and then there's one on the knee just there. There we go. How nice do they look? I put a little bit of like scratches in them, so I guess you can kind of see, yeah, I did some highlighting and a little bits of scratches, and then the same on the one in the middle. I did like some highlights, and I put like some, I kind of went in a little bit to make some like scratches and whatnot, and yeah, I'm really happy with how that looks. This whole like bird tabard thing looks really, really nice. I'm really glad I've done this. So, like I briefly kind of mentioned it, but I want to do something new with these review sections. So we've done a zoom in, we've done a big close up. This looks really good, close up the details. But I realised when I played like some games last week, is you're never looking at a model like this close, like 6 inches away, because you'll be looking at them on the table kind of like this. So this is like the review section. I guess the next step, and I guess what I want to start doing, is adding a like view from the tabletop section. So if we just pick up the camera and zoom out, you get a sneak peek of my desk and the absolute state of it, like the review section I set up. But yeah, I kind of wanted to do something like this. This will probably evolve in the future. I might take him downstairs or something. But I kind of wanted to look at him like from quite a distance. Like, you know, if you're sitting at a desk or standing and he's on the tabletop far away, like what does he look like? This is arm's reach. Because it's completely different. Like I realised when playing the game and you're this far away compared to like when we're reviewing it and painting it and we're like this close to it and you're like looking at all the little like details and the highlights. Like no, realistically you'll be just like this far away, if not further. Like I'd zoom back, but I'd expose even more of my horrible setup and the absolute state of my desk. But yeah, like this is when you'll actually be looking at it. So I kind of wanted to do this as well, like from a distance, like how does it look? Because you kind of lose those little mistakes when it's far away and you get this kind of like whole frame and composition and look. And I kind of like that, you know, like the idea of just, yeah, stepping back a little bit, seeing what it looks like from a distance. And yeah, I'm quite happy with it, you know, it's a good look from far away. There you go. Turns out you can highlight an entire dreadnought with just a makeup sponge. And yeah, I don't think this is going to quell my obsession with the egg. Like, I love this thing. It's so cool. You get such good results out of it. So I'm definitely going to be using more of it going forward because I'm really impressed with this. Although I do say, oh my God, you can highlight like a dreadnought. Like, I actually think it's probably easier to highlight these big chunky models with a makeup blender. Because I did try over here, like a little Space Marine. It's not going to come up on camera. I did try and sort of highlight his shin pads and stuff and try and do something similar on like the rounded body of the Space Marines. And I think that sponge is a little bit too big for that. So I might look in to see if you can get some smaller ones, because I do think it would be really good to get some nice like volumetric highlights on shins and like breastplates and arms and stuff with just like dabbing an egg on, because yeah, like that was really quick work for a decent result. So I guess if you're looking for like a cool looking result and highlights and a decent looking model in a shorter amount of time, maybe the egg is for you, because yeah, you can do some cool stuff. But thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, drop a like and subscribe and tune in next time. Bye. You gonna say bye? Bye bye. Oh no, chance.